Alright, so what I'm going to talk about today is the difference in bars. Right now here at my garage at my home, not typically where I do most of my training. I train at my gym where I work out at, where I work. And we have different kinds of bars. My favorite bar right now is the Rouge bar. And I don't have a whole lot of experience with different types of bars, but this is just my experience. We have essentially three kinds of bars in my gym. We have Olympic weightlifting bars, and then we have the kind of standard bars that are used on the bench press. And that's just how we have it set up. There's no real particular reason because I am in a commercial gym. But the bars that the gym bought they're stiffer. They're almost like this. And when I say stiff, means they basically don't bend. They're also a little bit thicker. I want to say they're about 30 millimeters. Now, one of the things that helps a lot of people when they deadlift, or one of the limiting factors, I should say, when it comes to deadlifting more weight, is if you have small hands. Now, I don't want you to use this as an excuse, and I'm not going to say this is an excuse for me, but it's a real limiter. So what happens is you don't get as much leverage of holding something. So essentially if you're smaller or a shorter or lighter person, typically your hands will typically be small. This is not always the case, but if you have smaller hands, what will happen is you won't be able to wrap your hand around the bar nearly as much. And a thicker bar will make you have to kind of hold like this, so you can't get this thumb over the fingernails as deep, so you can't lock in really tight. So that's one of the things to consider, and it's a limiting factor. For me, I've always had that problem. I could never, I've always lose my grip, so that was my main factor. Like, I have really big legs, and I have a fairly advantageous torso for deadlifting. Like, my legs aren't too long, so I get better leverage. So what happens is I have a lot of strength here, but then essentially this is where I was lacking. So I tend to talk a lot about grip strength if you watch some of my other videos, simply because that's one of the things that have been holding me back. But back to what I was talking about, the different bars. So so your grip, we have these standard bars. I don't know what brand they are, but they are thicker and they're very stiff. I was deadlifting 315 with it. I wasn't deadlifting. I was actually I was doing shrugs with 255 pounds. And it really felt heavier because I haven't used that bar in a while, and I don't typically use it. And it was a busy time in the gym. I was kind of fitting in a second workout in, and all the racks were taken up, so I basically had to deadlift it off the ground. And I found my fingers slipping. I didn't have chalk with me, unfortunately. I was kind of doing like a little quick workout because the client didn't show up. That's just kind of how my day went for that evening. And I had to deadlift the weight, and I was doing shrugs, my fingers were slipping, and that has a lot to do with the thickness of the bar. Second thing is with the Rouge bars, the standard Rouge bars, Olympic weightlifting bars, or we have another bar. I want to say it's Ivankov, I think. I forgot what it's called, but anyways, they have more flex. Now it's hard to realize this, and hard to it's hard to imagine until you start lifting more weight, depending on where you're at. If you're lifting over 400 pounds, 500 pounds, you already know this, or you might kind of already intuitively know this, but there's more flex in the bar. So if I were to grab down and come to pick up this bar and get ready for, whether it be a deadlift, or whether it be a sumo deadlift, or a conventional deadlift, if I have, let's say, about 400 or 500 pounds, because that's usually when the bar begins to really bend really good, is that when you get underneath the bar and I pull, that bar will flex. So you'll get a little bowing, like a little rainbow. And it's maybe about 1/4 inch, might be less than that, maybe 1/2 inch, somewhere around that, depending on how thin the bar is. And what will happen is that you'll get a little bit leverage. So instead of having to pull and start it before you leave the ground, before the bar breaks the ground like that, before it breaks the ground, you might actually get to break the ground in a higher position. So you end up being here before the actual dumbbells, or the plates actually leave the ground, and that gives you a little bit more leverage. So that's one thing to consider. The other thing too is that the Rouge bars and that other Olympic weightlifting bar I'm talking about I have at work is they're a little bit thinner enough to notice by quite a bit. Like, I have two bars here. I guess this is a male bar, 45 pounds, and a female bar, 30 pounds. And it's about this thickness. I want to say it's 26 millimeters. Another video I'll talk about it more, but this is just my experience with it, is that the thinner the bar, the better grip you're going to get underneath it or around it. And it does make a difference in your lifting, and something to consider in your training.